Back at the weekly enrichment sessions, I had become friendly with an actual mother, Kate Myers.
She was Jewish.
No, everybody assumed so, including myself.
The basis for a friendship.
She was attending with her daughter, Jessica, 2.5, and was expecting another child in the spring. She would, of course, get an au pair, as she had for the first 1.5 years of Jessica's life. Kate canvassed the girls in our midst for available help, and within weeks, she discovered that little David Levy's au pair, Katrina, had a German cousin, Andrea, who was miserable living with a family in rural Montana.
Seeking relocation.
Andrea had originally jumped at the chance to make a few $100s per month. And when she looked at the map and saw that Montana was so close to California,
And all those surfer guys.
she readily accepted the offer. Of course, the family, who described themselves merely as a large, close-knit bunch, had neglected to mention just how many children there actually were.
How many?
7, all under the age of 6, including a set of triplets just approaching the dreaded, terrible 2.
It's criminal.
So Kate wrote to Andrea and her sponsoring family,
Captain.
and a deal was struck. Kate had to pay through the nose for the to and fro airfare, but it was all set. Andrea would arrive 2 weeks after the birth of Kate's child.
And?
It wasn't until well after her arrival that I actually got to meet Andrea in the flesh.
To use a phrase.
The few times that I had gotten together with Kate after summer began took place either at my home or at the lake nearby, where many a mom was attended by her au pair.
And Andrea?
Strangely, she did not accompany the rest of the family on these outings, preferring to attend to the domestic chores.
Accomplished to perfection, no doubt.
Kate was ecstatic at the mere mention of Andrea. Kate and Hal, a highly paid software patent attorney, loved the arrangement.
Swore by.
When Hal would arrive home to their hilltop abode after his excruciatingly long drive to and from Silicon Valley, they could just get away from it all, amble down to the village wine bar for a carafe and cheese plate before settling in for the night.
It helps to keep the marriage vital.
And when Kate wanted to get away for a leisurely luncheon at the Nouvelle Cuisine Culinary Institute over in the city, she could go without worry, confident in her au pair's abilities to do the dirty work.
It sounds swell.
I finally got to meet Andrea when we were all invited for Jessica's 3rd birthday party. 20 children in varying degrees of toddlerhood, accompanied by mothers sensibly dressed and in their 30s, all appearing to have read too many child development tracts, and all swapping natural childbirth experiences. I smiled a lot, but kept my mouth shut.
You had screamed like a banshee and begged for drugs, I'll bet.
The musical chairs portion of the party took place in Kate's large living room, complete with 30-foot vaulted ceiling, Haitian cotton sectional sofa, and massive burled redwood home entertainment center. And in place of the modular plastic climbing structure that normally occupied the center of the immense base, there were, say, 20 identical pint-sized plastic and textiline director's chairs in an assortment of primary colors. A seemingly endless supply of Sesame Street recordings provided the music, and the children seemed almost old enough to comprehend what everyone was so joyously and, in fact, somewhat hysterically commanding them to do.
Oh, boy.
Andrea entered the fold midway through the games, distributing the handcrafted prizes she had spent the last 3 weeks' worth of nap time constructing. Lovely little cloth dolls and animals, alphabet cookies with each child's name. She was animated and attractive, initiating conversation with the adults and intervening gently when the children squabbled or screamed.
Sounds perfect.
Yes, and I was surprised when at one point during the festivities, Kate pulled me aside and asked if I could make a special effort to help Andrea feel a part of the party.
What could be wrong?
It seems she'd had something approaching a mild nervous breakdown earlier in the day over feeling like she was being treated as a servant instead of as a member of the family.
Andrea is only now beginning to grasp her situation.
As it turned out, Andrea had broken down periodically throughout her stay, often sobbing uncontrollably for days on end.
Perhaps the mysterious PMS.
Whatever it was, Kate had a damaged au pair, and for once I wasn't envious.
Meanwhile, back in the thick of it,
Lunch was being served. There was chilled white Zinfandel,
it's actually pink.
pasta salad for the moms, and for the kids, nitrate-free hot dogs on whole grain buns with apple cider.
From organically grown fruit.
When the cake was served, it was revealed to be a chocolate ballerina with a buttercream frosted tutu, accompanied by a hefty slab of Neapolitan, which could have put even the toughest old bird into a diabetic coma.
One begins to question the necessity for the nitrate-free dog.
After lunch, we were herded to the park-like backyard overlooking the redwood forest, where we met Jingles, the clown, standing by the large suspended Mickey Mouse piñata.
One continues to question the necessity for the nitrate-free dog.
He had in his hands a long, formidable-looking stick, and some of the children appeared to be out and out terrified.
Maybe we are coming to understand the reason for the nitrate-free dog.
Jingles was actually Kate's brother Ed, who had excused himself from lunch along with Hal to make the change in their rear guest room. When I ventured back to take Louis to the potty, I heard gales of laughter coming from Uncle Ed and Hal, and smelled the pungent aroma of marijuana wafting from behind the closed door.
Then,
But outside, Jingles was having the time of his life, beating Mickey Mouse to pieces, as the children squealed with delight at the shower of candy and worthless trinkets falling all about them. In addition, Andrea had made animal balloons, sausage dogs, or fish, and passed out bags with the children's names on them.
filled with more candy, of course.
By now, the kids were in the danger zone.
It was definitely time to go.
We passed through the kitchen on our way out and caught a glimpse of Andrea, engrossed in eating a very large portion of the ballerina cake.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Then, one day, when my phone rang,
Listen to your intuition and don't answer.
and Kate wailed over the wires, Andrea is gone, and here I am with 2 kids and no au pair.
This is no time for sarcasm.
Kate continued to whine as she recounted the events leading to Andrea's departure.
Let me see if I can do it for you. The ballerina cake, a classic case. Soon after Andrea's arrival, Kate observed a rather steep increase in the grocery bills, but assumed that it was just due to the extra mouth to feed, as well as her own ample appetite while still nursing the baby.
I think you know something.
But soon she was spending hundreds of dollars a week on food, and she and Hal, ever watchful of their body tone, often ate only salads. And as she began to scrutinize the situation, Kate noticed that Andrea would ingest a quart of yogurt at one sitting, or consume a loaf of bread over the course of an afternoon.
The box of Nabisco honeygrams left out for little Jessica would vanish within the hour.
And just as Kate and Hal were turning in for the night, Andrea was often coming up from her room for a snack.
No, for a 3-course meal.
She must be putting on weight.
In fact, she appeared to have shed a few pounds since her arrival a few months back.
I can see it all now. The ballerina cake, a classic case.
Well, Kate gently approached the subject one evening, suggesting to Andrea that the offer of room and board did not indicate that she was to eat them out of house and home.
Auf dem Haus und Hund.
Andrea, embarrassed, cried off and on for a day or two, and genuinely tried to cut back on the gorging.
Bad shake.
Good joke. But really, one evening, as Andrea reached for the second T-bone from the platter, Kate made up her mind to have a dedicated chat with the girl. Tonight,
Decent night.
before going out to the wine bar.
For some wine.
Kate rarely went down to Andrea's room with private bath on the lower level of their sprawling California ranch-style home, but tonight she knocked on the door,
No response.
then knocked again.
Still no response.
She noticed the water was running, so she entered the suite.
Oh, Andrea.
Unfortunately, Andrea couldn't hear her, as she was thoroughly engaged in forcing a large chopstick down her throat, causing her to gag and regurgitate the T-bone into the commode, and on the counter lay boxes and boxes of X-Lax.
Anorexia and bulimia. right under one shape roof.
Kate, shocked yet still rational, quickly tried to calculate in her head how much the return airfare was going to set them back.
And whether that would prevent them from using the A-frame in Mendocino next month.
She settled rather on another relocation for Andrea.
After discussing it with Hal over half a carafe.
Within days, she graciously offered Andrea's services to the Epsteins, who could surely afford the extra groceries, what with Dr. Epstein's popular OB practice.
Now that he advertised on Katie.
As for Andrea, she was already familiar with relocation procedures, for every other family she'd ever been with had to resort to this sooner or later, except for the Montana Nine.
Who hadn't seemed to notice.
Unfortunately, she didn't last long with the Epsteins before her secret was out and she was back on a plane headed to Munich.
Mich.
Those overseas flights.
All those meals.